Hi, this is Carolyn, and I'm here with Erin and Carla, and we are going to talk about spectators getting involved in our matches. We were talking, and all of us have had situations where the spectators have gotten involved in our match. And so I actually looked it up. There's a USTA rule on this. So I'll read the rule, and then I want to hear the stories that you guys have had about spectators getting involved. And I think maybe the point is for spectators is to mind your own business.
Exactly.
Is that what you think? Okay.
Yes.
So
That's what we think.
Definitely. All the time. Okay. So this is Forensic Court 2021. And this is on page 39 in case anyone's looking. And it's number 16. And it says, spectators never make calls. A player must not enlist the aid of a spectator in making a call. No spectator has a part in a match. All right, Erin, tell us your story.
Actually, I have two stories now that you say that. So years and years ago, as a 2-5, my partner and I had a woman that I played with all the time as a 2-5 partner. And we used to play tiebreakers all the time. We were just notorious for at least losing a set where we would end up in a third set tiebreak. So tiebreakers are confusing for even experienced players, right?
Yes.
But we were pretty good at it because we had played so many. So we were at our home courts, and we got into a situation where we were in a third set tiebreak. And at the beginning of the tiebreaker, I said something like, "Okay, we're going to serve one. We're going to serve one ball, and then we're going to switch sides, and then you guys are going to serve two. So on and so forth, right? Just like establishing how we were going to start it." And one of the opponents, we had kind of a not so friendly match with these ladies. I don't even remember if there was anything specific, but it just wasn't fun, friendly, good tennis, type of thing, whatever. It was just one of those matches that kind of sticks out I don't know what the problem was, but it was not fun. And I remember one of the ladies saying, "That is not right. That is not the way you play a tiebreaker." And I was like, we're pretty good at playing tiebreakers, so I'm pretty sure. But I could tell it was getting so heated. She was in such a bad mood that she was like, "No, she literally, I feel like she stomped her feet. She probably didn't, but in my mind, she was like, no." And she said, "That is not the way you play a tiebreaker. We just clinicked on how to do it correctly." So I decided that it was better that we play the tiebreaker however she wanted.
Right. Yes.
Rather than get in an argument with her. We already were on the verge of arguing. And then if I had told her, "No, you're wrong, and this is the right way to do it." So I just said, "You know what?" I literally was like, "We'll play the tiebreaker however you just learned it in clinic. It doesn't matter as long as it's 10 points and everybody serves correctly. Right. We'll play it how you run the tiebreaker, kind of thing." So we're doing that. And so 1 or 2 points happened. And then someone that was watching our match chimed in and said, "No, that's not right. You're not playing it correctly." And I was like, yeah, I know. Kind of put him off. I get it, Yeah. So we play another point or two, and then maybe I think we were on a changeover, and he was like, "Ladies, you are not doing that tiebreaker correctly." And he had his phone out, and he was showing us.
So this is just a person watching the match.
Just watching the match. It was either
in the middle of the match.
Yeah, during the tiebreaker.
Wow.
So we were on a changeover, and he had his phone out, and he was like, "Ladies, you are doing it wrong. It says, for this type." And I literally walked over to him and I said, "Listen, I realize that we were doing this incorrectly, but we're trying to not fight with our opponents. Yep. You need to stay out of our match. You cannot talk to us while we're playing."
Yeah.
But I'll tell you another time where, in a really super friendly situation that we did ask someone for help. We were playing a match and something weird happened, one of those rules that you don't realize is a rule. The ball bounced on our side and it bounced and it had so much spin it bounced back on their side before we had a chance to hit it, and one of those happens once in a lifetime kind of weird tennis plays. And I remember our opponents were so friendly, and I remember saying, "I really don't know whose point that is." I said, "We can look it up on look it up on one of our phones." But there were people that were watching our match, and they were high level, they were 4-0s or higher. And I literally said to them, "If you are okay with me asking the crowd, basically, I'm going to phone a friend, phone a friend, right?" So I said, "If you don't mind me asking, as long as we all agree, whatever they say, whoever's point it is, and they were like, 'Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that.'"
Okay.
And it was actually someone from our own club. And the lady that I asked said, "Nope, it's their point. You can't do blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Okay." And we were all okay with it. But I asked my opponents first before asking anybody else to intervene. But if somebody had just said, that's their point, then that would have been totally
without
out of line.
being asked. They just yell it.
Yeah, completely out of line. Yeah.
Yes.
So I know you guys have both had situations. So
Yeah, Carla, how about
Yeah,
yours?
speaking of that, Carolyn and I actually had a match several years ago, and person will not be named, but we were just playing, minding our business, I don't know, some random Wednesday morning where it was a playoff match. So it was, playoffs a little bit intense. And Carolyn and I were actually faced away from this spectator, and in the back, he yells, "You bully! Yeah. You're such a bully!" And I was so caught off guard. I thought he was talking to some other court. Right. I had no idea that he was talking about me.
Made a good shot. So
I think it was at the net. I may have done
the net, and she hit it
overhead.
At the net. It was an overhead, and it was at the net person, but she didn't even get hit.
Yeah, And not only that, I'm not good enough to hit people like that.
Yes.
So I even asked her. It was a 5-5 match.
So
that was a 2-5.
Yeah.
Just for background.
And I did check. I made sure she was okay. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Not a problem." And I'm like, this guy's still back here. So, Carolyn, I think, did you say something to him?
No, I think it was you, because
I was like, "Are you talking to me?"
Yes.
And he was like, "Yes, I'm talking to you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I just felt so distraught.
Hard, yeah.
Very much caught guard. I'm just started playing tennis.
Yes.
I'm like, if this is how it's going to be, I don't necessarily know if this is for me, but I like this rule that says no spectator has a part in the match. So Carolyn was so kind, and she was like, "Do you need to go say something to him?" And I'm like, "No, it's fine," because our opponents were totally fine.
Yes.
Right. They weren't like, "Oh yeah, you are a bully."
No, she was like, "Oh, I'm fine. Like, it's going to happen." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we just keep going. And Carolyn was like, "No, I'm going to go say something."
No, well, then the opponent's husband yelled at the person that said something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should have said something if that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
He was like, "Stay out of this match."
Yes.
Because, again, it's a 5-5
It
playoff
was.
match.
We were
Let's
not
explain
going.
what a 5-5 is. A 5-5 is a 2-5, right? It's
a 2-5 and a 3-0.
Yes.
Which means you just started playing.
Which means you just started playing.
And we're all setting each other up just to get
Yes. We're not that good.
Yeah.
So, it was a really friendly match up until that point. Yeah. Our competitors were fine. We had good calls. Mm-hmm. Everybody was, it was a really good, it was a intense match. Pretty tough match, but we were all friendly. So this random dude from nowhere just yelling had no place in that match.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. For sure. Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that someone said something, because someone needs to say something.
It was so bad though that the opponent's husband, he was like, he double checked to make sure you're okay. And then after the match, again, this is an opponent. Right. After the match, he was like, "Come have some bagels with us." Aww. And he apologized again. I'm like, "Oh, it's fine." Because I do know that those things will happen, as much as we don't need that in this sport or in any sport. Yeah. Growing up playing sports, it's just going to happen. Yeah.
Carolyn.
But I didn't say anything in that situation. Yeah. So I was ready for the next time, because I was kind of a little mad at myself, because I felt like I didn't stand up for you. Yeah. And I wish, because I'm just used to playing sports, and I miss a shot or an air ball, and people are yelling air ball. I don't then yell at the fans and be like, "What are you
What's
saying?
Your name?
Yeah, what's your name?" To that. But I was really upset that I didn't say anything at that point. So I had something happen this year, and I was playing a 4-0 singles match, and it was a match tiebreak, and I called the score, and then I went to serve, and I missed the serve. So I missed the serve, and then I heard that was a foot fault. And I was on the side where there was nobody there except for this one man walking up. Wow. And I looked at him and I said, "What's your name?" like a crazy person.
No, that's good.
Because I missed my serve. Yeah. I'm not saying he was wrong about the foot fault. I probably did it. But if you're going to call that part of my game, you need to call the entire match.
Correct.
I would love if somebody would call the lines for me. You can't just walk up and throw it out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he said his name, and I was like, "Did you say something to me?" And he was like, "No." And then a part of me was like, "Well, maybe I misunderstood."
Yeah. Because that's what we do.
Because we're playing. I'm on singles. I'm by myself. So after the match was over, a person from the opponent's team came up to me and was like, "I'm so glad you called him out for doing that. I saw the whole thing. He definitely was saying that to you."
Wow.
And then I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, "Was he a 2-5? Like, does he just not
does he not know?
Does he not know the etiquette involved in this?" And she goes, "No, he's a 4-5.
Wow.
So he knew what he was doing.
So for those that are listening, a 4 or 5 is pretty much like
better than I'll ever be.
An advanced tennis player.
Yeah.
They played for many years.
Yes.
So they know the rules.
Yes.
They know
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
By doing that.
He was trying to intimidate you.
But I wouldn't have said anything had that situation not happened with
that was
us.
good, Carolyn.
And I was so upset because I felt like I did not stand up for you then. So I was like, nobody's
going to get the next one.
Yeah.
And the guy probably did think I was crazy because I was like, what's your name? You know? But also, everybody footballs. My husband was like, at 4 men, everybody's footballing. And I'm not saying I didn't do it, but I'm like, you don't do it that way.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, too. I know not all people read the rules like you do, but you play long enough to know the rules, too. And he has played long enough to know that you do not intervene or talk to people on a court during a match, let alone that. I mean, it could have been the first game for all he knew. It doesn't matter that it was a match tiebreak.
Yeah.
It was the fact that he felt like it was okay for him to get, like, what if you and your opponent that had just finished a match walked up to his court and just started calling, just started yelling at him for things he was doing. Like, it's so inappropriate. And he knew, and you called him out on it.
And I think there's something called grace, right? Like, I do know that 9 times out of 10, I have probably foot-faulted it at some part of my match, or I've, hit someone unintentionally. So, I mean, or somebody calls a bad call, but I think those things will happen, and we're just, again, we're out here playing fun, having a good time. And so I think we just give, as we talked about earlier, having a little bit, trusting your opponent a little bit. Yeah. But just also giving grace. Like, we are not robots. We're not, really good tennis players. We just, we like to have fun.
We like experts.
We like to get better, have fun. In some other life, we can join the WTA, but not this life.
Not this life. Yeah.
But I think if you are a spectator and you are listening to this, thank you, by the way, if you are listening, we appreciate it. But mind your own business, I guess, is the end of it. It's like, don't get involved in the match. Like, sit there, nobody, it's not fair to the people on the court that are actually playing.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, let us know if a spectator's ever gotten involved in your match. You can message us on our Facebook page, which is Second Serve Podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and hope to see you on the court soon.